Hello everyone, GoldenNova here. While Burst of Destiny is the new hotness coming out of the OCG, Dawn of Majesty was just fully released in the TCG, including all the exclusives we get for ourselves. And while I could get hung up on the fact that they printed what basically amounts to Magic Key support right after all the videos I did about them, I mean, my business email is on Twitter, Konami, I'm not that hard to find, I'm instead going to focus on the awesome new archetype we get to play with. Beetrooper is an insect theme that focuses on getting a whole bunch of material onto the board so they can make the Herculean Hercules beetle themselves, Giant Beetrooper Invincible Atlas. But since they just generally work with insects, we'll be seeing a lot of archetypes being splashed with them, and none too soon I might add. The next deck build pack, Grand Creators, has been announced, and it's been revealed that the Insector card that was the product of the Create a Card community event will be available in it. And while it's guaranteed to reignite interest in the Common Rider adjacent theme, it'll be nice for them to have even more support for them to work with. So, without further ado, let's open up the terrarium to check out our bug collection, study them to determine their habits, then see what specimens we can introduce to help these intriguing insects. Get on those compound lenses as we take a look at Beetroopers. But before we continue, a quick reminder to please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed my content so far. We're on the road to 100,000 subscribers, and what better way to travel down the road than on your Duel Runner? We'll be covering iconic 5D's characters along the way, and our next stop is 20K, where we'll start the Yusei Explained series, covering Stardust, Junk, and whatever other cards we can play to help us rev it up. We've also got a Discord, where I'm finding a bit too much information about what classifies as a berry, and a Twitter, where you can stay up to date on channel news and my bad takes. And if you really like what I do here, please consider joining my YouTube membership. It's basically like a Twitch sub, emotes included, or backing me on Patreon, where you can vote on a video that I make every month. It also gets you early access to my videos via the patron-only section of my Discord, provided I get the video done ahead of schedule. And whether you're a member or a patron, I get a schedule sent to you on the first week of the month, so you know what to expect for the next 4 weeks. Thank you all so much for watching, and now, back to the video. So, what's the deal with Beetroopers? Well, it's not very complicated. They're all insects, and they've got a variety of effects. Though, aesthetics-wise, they're all a bunch of humanoid-esque insect people who ride larger, much more traditional bugs. Let's start with Beetrooper Scout Buggy. They're a level 3 wind monster with 1000 attack and 300 defense, and while they're on the field, you can't special summon monsters unless they're insects. And if they are normal or special summoned, you can special summon another copy of Beetrooper Scout Buggy from your hand, deck, or grave. But it does have a hard once per turn clause, so you can't immediately go into a third copy. Thankfully, the summon restriction only lasts while they're on the field, and it's pretty easy to use them as material. We've got a link 2 that we'll talk about in just a bit, but we've also got number 3 Cicada King for effect negation, or Insector Pico Felina if you have any other insects on board to equip. It's pretty good, and despite the level demotion, this 3-star Ladybug of Advantage is much better than that 4-starred Ladybug of Doom. Beetrooper Scale Bomber is a level 3 fire monster with 1200 attack and 2000 defense, and if another insect monster is normal or special summoned to your field, you can special summon Scale Bomber from your hand. And when a monster your opponent controls activates its effect, as a quick effect you contribute an insect to destroy that opponent's monster. They're another way to get quick material onto the board, as well as some interaction. While not effect negation, getting rid of a monster before it can be folded into other things can be useful from time to time, though with larger board states, it does have an issue with scaling. Beetrooper Sting Lancer is a level 7 wind monster with 2400 attack and 1800 defense, and during any main phase as a quick effect, you can target an insect in your grave and any monster in your opponent's, special summon Sting Lancer, then place the targeted monsters on the bottom of the decks. And if they're normal or special summoned, you can add a Beetrooper spell or trap from your deck to your hand. This is a fantastic card. It's got a pretty easy summoning condition, decent stats, and searches you a spell or trap. It's even a DD Crow in a sense, getting a monster out of your opponent's grave so they can't use it. Though how effective it will be depends on if it's better or worse for that card to be in the deck rather than being banished. But regardless, when your opponent goes to use their grave and they find their card is vanished, it's still gonna sting. Beetrooper Armorhorn is a Link 2 Earth monster with 1000 attack, requiring 2 insect monsters. Like Scout Buggy, you can't special summon anything but insects while they're on the field, and during your main phase, you can activate an effect that lets you normal summon an insect monster from your hand, kinda like how Flundereeze does. Also, while they're in the grave, you can banish 3 other insects from your grave to special summon Armorhorn, but it gets banished if it leaves the field. Now, our options when it comes to insect link monsters are very narrow, and outside of our own theme, we have one that can use this Link 2 as as a way to help cheat it out, but it's honestly just nice to have a free monster you can put on field to help with link summoning in case you need it, and is otherwise a neat little double summon. Now, one might ask why such a card goes to such lengths only to give you a normal summon when it could have just as easily been a special summon from the hand, but while the answer may be that there are a few insect effects that have to trigger on normal summons specifically, I like to think that this is here to enable the effect of Grass Chopper. But no matter how they're summoned, it is still getting us material onto the board, which they are very proud of. It's a little grating, but they do love to toot their own horn. Alright, time for the biggest, baddest Beetleborg we've got, Giant Beetrooper Invincible Atlas. They're a Link 4 Earth monster with 3000 attack, requiring 2 or more insect monsters as material. They also have the insect summoning only policy that Scout Buggy and Armor Horn do, though that restriction is a little worse here, since this is a monster you want to keep on the board. While they're Link summoned and have 3000 or less attack, your opponent cannot target or destroy Atlas with card effects. And once per turn, you contribute an insect monster to either special summon a Beetrooper from your deck or increase Atlas's attack by 2000 until the end of the turn. This puts them at a mind-boggling 5000 attack, but does strip it of any protections it had. I wouldn't call this a deal breaker, but does complicate things when you want to use that effect to take down bigger threats. For instance, if you need to run over an empowered Eldritch, boosting Atlas leaves you open to destruction from Conquistador. Anything that's big and has quick effect interactions still beats Atlas, and that kinda sucks, to be honest. However, that disappointment only really comes into focus if we think of Atlas as the focal point of a deck. We don't know what's in store for Beetroopers in the future, but with so few cards allocated to them, it's best to think of Atlas as an alternate win condition you can go into in other insect decks. So unlike its namesake, Atlas shouldn't have to carry the whole world on its back. Alright, now it's time for the spells and traps. First is the field spell Beetrooper Formation. Once per turn, you can have it target a Beetrooper in your grave and special summon it, but it can't attack that turn, and you lose life points equal to its original attack. And if any number of face-up insect monsters you control are destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon a Beetrooper token, which is a level 3 Earth insect monster with 1000 attack and defense. I've gotta say, I'm a fan. Trading life points for monsters has always been a good deal, and the low attack power of some of our monsters works in our favor. Pay 1000 to get Scout Buggy for 2 material, or get Armor Horn for that sweet extra normal summon. Scale Bomber is a bit more expensive and not really as worth it for the cost, and while Sting Lancer hurts a lot more for 2400 life points, you are also getting to search a Beetrooper spell or trap, which will hopefully get more impactful as time goes on. There is also the option of bringing back Atlas, but since it can't attack that turn, you can't just lose 3000 life points to add 3000 damage to your next attack. But the upside is that, since it wasn't Link summoned, you aren't giving up any of its protection if you boost its attack, because it was already defenseless. I mean, I guess all Link monsters are defenseless, but that's besides the point. Our last card is Beetrooper Flying Sting, a counter trap that you can activate in response to an opponent's monster effect activation while you control a Beetrooper to negate the activation and destroy the card. And bonus, during your end phase, if Flying Sting are in your grave and you control an insect monster with 3000 or more attack, you can banish an insect from your grave to set the counter trap to the field. However, you can only use one effect per turn and only once per turn. This means that if you negate an activation on one of your turns, you can't reset Flying Sting until the end phase of your next turn. But hey, I guess it's better than not having any kind of recursion. And while Solemn Strike is usually online more often, it's not searchable by Sting Lancer. And another thing I like about the card is that the joke has already been done for me. It's right there in the card. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, it's just Bug Jokes 101 over here. Okay, so that's all the Beetroopers, but what do we do with them? Well, by itself, it's just kinda Atlas Turbo. Get them onto the field early to bully your opponent's field, back them up with Flying Sting for negation, throw a few Scale Bombers on board whenever you can for destruction, and use the field spell to keep making material for other Links and Xyzs. But that's hardly a fleshed out deck, so instead, let's see how we can incorporate them into existing bug builds. Battle Wasps may appreciate the extra material that Beetroopers can pump out. If you use Formation to get double Buggy, then you can normal summon Sting the Poison, tune them and one Buggy for Azusa the Ghost Bow, maybe get some extra chip damage in with their effect, then use Azusa, since they're a Synchro Tuner, to go into Hama the Conquering Bow, giving it that sweet double attack. But despite some broad synergy, they don't really work with every insect theme, which is a real shame, because there's only like 5. Crawlers don't really operate on any kind of insect frequency, and they only have minimal usage with digital bugs. Beetroopers don't really have any position change effects, and since Buggy is a wind monster, you can't use them to make Scaradiator. In fact, to make any digital bug with them, you have to take a winding path through Giga Brilliant, then detach the 2 material to make Corbeige. Not the worst summon though. Sometimes people will summon their most important monsters in defense position to avoid being punished by things like Cyber Dragon Infinity, or more likely Lightning Storm, which makes them an easy target for Corbeige. Now, if Scout Buggies were allowed to overlay into Equipped Engineer, we could use its quick effect to change the position of our digital bugs at any time, but alas, it is a fairy, so it is forever beyond our reach. But of course, the real question on everyone's mind is, how does this play with Insectors? Well, not directly. Scale Bomber gives you an extra material to make Pico Felina, Armor Horn means more normal summons, and Sting Lancer has Grave Disruption paired with Flying Sting to intercept any monster effects you don't like, but doesn't really advance Insectors very proactively. I wouldn't be surprised to see Scout Buggy get splashed in to make the 2 previously mentioned links for cheap to help with fielding more monsters or recycling cards, but unless the Burst of Destiny update, if there is one, gives them some more significant and broad effects, this isn't likely to be a team-up that stands the test of time. As for a silly tech pick, it's time we brought back a really silly card that I don't think has ever seen play. Presenting Scary Moth. It's an insect version of Winda. Use your extra normal summon to tribute for Scary Moth, and in the future, even if you use one of your special summons to revive Armor Horn, its effect normal summons so it gets under Scary Moth. See, it was meant to be. They made it a normal summon for this interaction alone. This is the season of the Scary Moth meta, so get your buyouts ready. And that's all I have for Beetroopers. It's certainly an improvement over our last TCG exclusive outing, but Beetroopers clearly have a lot of room to improve before they have a real game plan. Today's meta demands you do more than make a single, sometimes unaffected boss monster, and while it does have a few other tricks up its sleeve, it's nothing dramatically effective. I look forward to seeing what future support will do for the theme, because despite my misgivings, I think it's a solid base, but I am left with one question. Konami, when's the next wave of mutant support? But now, I want to hear what you all have to say. Do you agree that Beetroopers are a few legs short of an insect, or do you think these troopers are pretty super? Let me know in the comments, and if you haven't already, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video around. It really does a lot to help me out. I'd also like to take this time to thank my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commander, CozyBoat275, Nebula Navigators, Billy Spence, Genesis Yu-Gi-Oh!, Gloomba331, Panther J, Shep Chow Shep, The Wizard Moose and the Fresh Prince of Conair, Cosmic Crusaders, Chaz Ghost, Colin Todd, Panda PLS, and Legendary Raven, as well as the lovely Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. And if you want to see another Dawn of Majesty archetype, check out this video I did all about Gizmex. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.